Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, Tony Fairchild, and AJ Fairchild producing in the back. So thanks again for joining me this week on the podcast, guys.
Awesome.
Well, last week was pretty interesting. We kind of saw that, and we'll get into our picks, but what were your guys' thoughts going into this week? There's a lot of good football being played. We're starting to finally see some teams, develop an identity and things play out in non-conference schedule, and we're starting to see maybe a little bit who some of the contenders and some of the pretenders are. So thoughts going into this week?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out as we progress on. So a lot of teams are still playing the non-conference schedule. Like Defiance is in their conference, but everybody else is kind of still in their non-conference, and it just depends on who you're playing in your non-conference. Some teams play tough teams, some teams don't. So it's going to start working itself out here soon.
Yeah, Tony pretty much carried everything that I was going to say. So yeah, non-conference. We got some really good non-conference games around the area. Then you got some stinkers. So I'm ready for conference play.
Yeah, and again, I feel like we always say weather was unbelievable on Friday night. Again, that's probably the best week 2 weather we've had probably the last 4 or 5 years. So can't ask for much better weather. I mean, it truly is fall time, and the season's just rolling right through. So let's go ahead. We're going to get into last week's game prediction results, and we're going to talk about how each of us did. So last week, Matthew ended up finishing first with a 19-2 record, which is pretty solid because there was a lot of coin flip games last week, and he happened to pick quite a few of them. Second was a tie between Keith and myself, Logan, with 16-5 records, and fourth was a tie between AJ and Tony with 14-7 records. So, hey, Keith wasn't last this week. So moving on up. But on the year, Matthew actually took the lead with a 34-5 record. Second is myself with Logan 32-7 record. Third is Keith with 39 record, and tied for last are Tony and AJ with 29-10 records. So
Matthew's
still pretty solid among everyone.
Yeah, Matthew's like Nostradamus this year.
Yeah,
5 losses.
Man, I'm surprised he picked that Grove game. I think he was the only one that picked Liberty Benton, and he was definitely hearing some comments from some of the Grove faithful. And hey, what do you know? He ended up picking the right team.
Probably a good thing for him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he wants to pick against them, but you guys got to step up. So.
All right, let's move into some game recaps here from week 2. We're going to look at the first game, and that's Delta at Fairview. Fairview ended up winning this game 36-32 at halftime. Delta was actually up 25-22 total offense for the game. Fairview had 416 yards, 365 passing with 51 rushing, and Delta had 325 yards, 258 rushing, 67 passing. Turnovers for the game, Fairview had 2 with 1 interception, 1 fumble, and Delta had 2 with 1 fumble and 1 interception. Some top players from Fairview. Quarterback Will Zedike, again, makes this list every single week. 21-33, 64%, 365 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, but he also had 7 carries for 28 rushing yards. Wide receiver Logan Olinger, again, unbelievable performance from Logan, one of the more athletic kids in all of Northwest Ohio. 10 receptions, 199 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns for 4 total touchdowns in the game. And he also contributed an interception on defense. And wide receiver Jonathan Huffman, 3 receptions, 79 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. On the flip side from Delta, running back Marcus Nagel, 25 carries, 130 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And quarterback Emmerich Fries was 3-6, 67 passing yards. He did have 1 interception, 4 carries for 50 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Man, what can I say, guys? I mean, this, as a fan, would have been a terrific game to go. Really, any kind of football, player, fan, coach, if you're available. But I thought this game was unique going into it. Just a game of contrasting styles between Fairview's gunslinger passing offense and Delta's ground and pound rushing attack. So, guys, what were your kind of thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I just we kept watching the score, and I couldn't believe Delta was up, at halftime. But it was one of those games where, like you said, Delta's keeping the ball away from Fairview's offense, trying to do the best they can, and not letting Fairview score. But yeah, that was kind of interesting watching the score keep clicking, and then all of a sudden you seen Fairview take the lead, and it's like, oh, okay, there you go. But yeah, just one heck of a game by everybody. I mean, when you look at Zedike, he put up 393 of the 416 yards for Fairview he's responsible for. So, he's kind of their workhorse.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this game was kind of surprising when I looked at the final score because I thought Delta was really going to try to control time of possession, really slow things down. But they said forget that, and they said they're going to go out there and match toe for toe with Fairview's offense. They dropped 25 points in the first half. They also put up 325 total yards of offense as well. So the entire game, both offenses were just lighting up the scoreboard.
Yeah, I tried to watch this game Friday night after ours to watch writing my post game show. But yeah, Delta went punch for punch with Fairview. But I think what we're seeing this year through the first two games, guys, is several times last year when Fairview needed a first down, they would always come up with a hiccup and not get the first down that they needed. Where this year they're getting the first downs to keep drives sustained late in the game. Then they're also getting defensive stops this year. So live and learn from last year, I think, so far for Coach Rakes and the Apaches. But yeah, what a heck of a game this would have been to be at.
Yeah, and
back and forth.
I just had a couple other talking points too, and I think you look at the final stat line and you look with Zedike and Olinger. They show again why they're one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in Northwest Ohio, and to be honest, possibly in all of Division 6 as well. I mean, for Olinger to go out there, have 4 total touchdowns, almost 200 receiving yards. Zedike, I mean, it's almost a give me that he's going to go out there and throw for 300 more yards a game. He's going to throw for 60+% completion percentage, and he's going to be very efficient with the football. He's not going to make many turnovers as well. So, it's hard to beat that offense. But, Fairview, looking ahead a little bit, they've got a big week this week. I know they played Bryan, and we'll kind of get into it a little bit later, but, Bryan's a Division 5 school, and they just had a win against Bowling Green, which is a Division 3 school. Yep. So with this win against Delta, and if they win next week against Bryan, that's a chance for a lot of computer points here with last week and this week. And, they're putting themselves in a position to possibly be the 1 seed in the region too. So,
and this year you get the bye.
Yeah, so, that's the thing too. Yeah. And actually the bye, and then you get home field advantage for first 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks.
I think,
two for sure.
Two for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's a huge, benefit come playoff time too. And then, just from Delta's a solid team. It stinks to have a tough loss like this. Delta got Fairview last year. Fairview returned the favor this season. But sophomore running back Marcus Nagel, good to see him healthy. He got hurt last year during wrestling season, and actually talked to him a little bit down at state, but he's very athletic running back, and, it shows. He had a couple touchdowns on Friday night, and he's going to be the workhorse for that offense. And it's nice to see him step in for the replacement of Landon Lintermoot last year, who was kind of the workhorse. And Delta just keeps on replacing, that stable of backs there in the backfield. So,
yeah, I think they may have kind of, sparked a little interest in other teams coming up here with their being able to run the ball like they did against Fairview. So, other teams are going to be taking note on that.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next game here. Looking at some WBL action, Defiance at Ottawa-Glandorf. Another close game for Defiance. They end up winning this one 21-20. At the half, Defiance was up 14-7. Total offense for the game, Defiance had 327 yards, 288 yards rushing, 39 passing. Ottawa-Glandorf had 192 yards, 118 passing, 74 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Defiance had 0. Ottawa-Glandorf had 1 interception. Defiance actually ended up winning this game by yet another 2-point conversion stop with 2 minutes and 44 seconds left to go in the fourth. And it was a quarterback run up the middle by Carson Yeager from Ottawa-Glandorf. But time of possession, I believe they had down 30 minutes and 46 seconds. So Defiance ran that ball and controlled the clock, and it ended up paying off for them. Let's look at some top players from each team. Defiance running back linebacker Chase Comiso, another great performance from him this week. 22 carries, 157 rushing yards, good for 7.1 yards a carry. He had 1 rushing touchdown, and he did have 1 interception on the defensive side of the ball. Running back linebacker Kelton Gibbs, 17 carries, 111 rushing yards, 6.5 yards a carry. He had 1 rushing touchdown and led the team with 9 tackles. Quarterback Colt Ward, good to see him step up this week. I know that was a big question mark from us last week, kind of being thrown in the fire in a rivalry game like Napoleon. Had maybe a couple errors last week, but this week, very much improved. 5 of 7, 39 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown to wide receiver Jordan Wright. And he also had 5 carries for 16 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And that's one thing I think from Defiance you're going to see this year is, their bread and butter is going to be the run game. But, as we know, even teams like Liberty Center that do like to run the ball a lot, you still have to have a little bit of a passing game to keep teams honest. So, nice performance out of Colt. And then from Ottawa-Glandorf, quarterback Carson Yeager, 6 of 11, 55%, 118 passing yards. He did have 1 interception, but he had 6 carries for 24 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And wide receiver Deegan Miller, 5 receptions, 104 receiving yards. So, guys, Thoughts on the Defiance at Ottawa-Glandorf game?
Boy, semi-charmed life by Defiance the first 2 weeks. I mean, you can't get any closer than two-point conversions in the last couple of minutes of each game. But hey, Chase Comiso and Kelton Gibbs, what a 1-2 punch right there. And as you pinpointed, Logan, Colt Ward, good to see him have a bounce-back game. 5 of 7, just 39 yards, but passing touchdown, but very adequate. But hey, when you got two backs like Defiance has through the first 2 weeks, you don't really need to throw the ball that much. But Ottawa-Glandorf came close, but week 2 of WBL league play coming up this Friday night. So,
yeah, you talk about Comiso and Gibbs, getting yards in chunks. I mean, averaging roughly 7 yards carry between the two of them. Yeah, that's a great job, and that's a great job by the guys up front. Obviously, if they're running the rock, but they, just. Man, 2-point conversions. I mean, that's keeping everybody on their seat. You know what I mean? That's those are fun games to go watch. It was kind of like you're watching the Buckeye game this weekend. Come up with another goal line stand. It's just Defiance did the same thing again.
Yeah, and I think one thing I wanted to bring up too is that's 2 weeks in a row that teams have tried to run right up the middle for a 2-point conversion, and I don't know why. I mean, maybe that's the look they're given, but when you've got Defiance's front seven that are very solid, and, we watched them, I was able to watch them last week against Napoleon, they pretty much stuffed everything up the middle. Now, I don't know exactly how this game went, but I can tell you the guys up front, Matthew Walter, Alex Hinojosa, Kelton Gibbs, Maddox Wagner, Tyler Doden-Kiesling, and Chase Comiso, those are guys get a lot of playing time in the front seven. They're so tough to run the ball up right up the middle, and, for final, 2-point conversion, that's going to be tough for them to get unless you have a Haas back there at running back. But, again, I don't know, maybe the look was there, but, it's definitely be tough to get that conversion with those guys up front. So overall, I thought, Ottawa-Glandorf, again, showing this year under a well-coached Coach Schreiner team, playing teams tough to the fourth quarter. How many times did we see that last year where OG would play you to the final minutes and, whether – it seemed like if maybe they were a little bit worse than OG or a lot better than OG was always right there in the fourth quarter with a ball game. And, they were able to get a couple big ones last year. And, I think Ottawa-Glandorf will still continue to be competitive going into this year. It's just a matter of can they get over the hump? It's like they're right at the edge, getting towards the top of the hill. They just can't get over to the other side quite yet. But, they definitely got some decent athletes there, and we'll see what they do this week.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the next game. This game we were at with Tinora Rams Live, and that's Tinora at Otsego. Otsego won this thriller I feel like it was part 3 of this whole movie that we've been watching, but won this game 29-27. At the half, Otsego was up 20-14. Total offense for the game, Tinora had 389 yards, 325 passing with 64 rushing. Otsego had 295 total yards of offense, 277 rushing with 18 passing. Turnovers for the game, Tinora had 5 with 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles, and Otsego had 1 fumble. And for penalties for the game, Tinora had 14 for 132 yards, and Otsego had 5 for 50. Looking at some top players from each team, Tinora quarterback Owen Farrell, 24 of 36, 67% completion percentage, 325 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, but he did have 3 interceptions. Tight end Josh Lieb, really solid all night. Whenever they needed a big catch or big first down, he was the guy that got it. He didn't have any receiving touchdowns, but was definitely a huge contributor and led the team in receptions with 10, had 115 receiving yards. Wide receiver Owen Reynolds, 4 receptions, 89 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Wide receiver Dylan Shively, 4 receptions, 1 receiving touchdown. And running back Abram Jimenez, 6 carries, 37 rushing yards, 1 receiving touchdown. On the flip side from Otsego, one guy that really stood out was quarterback Grady Frank, 14 carries, 127 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And I said he may be one of the fastest players in Northwest Ohio. They ran that triple option offense, and when he would tuck it and run or fake it, holy smokes, he was off to the races, and he would make a couple moves and make guys miss, and there was no catching him. So excellent performance out of Grady. But, guys, we were all at this game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, like Grady Frank, he got around the corner, man. There was just he got loose. He was gone. But, just the Rams, geez, I don't even know what to say. They shot themselves in the foot so many different times. And, Otsego had the fumble, and literally the very next play, Tinora fumbled the ball right back to him, which could have turned the game a little bit. Yeah. But, I think Farrell's forcing the ball a little bit. This is why it's leading to interceptions. His interceptions are high already this year. But just got to take care of the ball a little better on both sides of the ball. But I thought Abram Jimenez did a nice job when he came in there to run the ball. Yep. But then he didn't see any more carries after that. That was one thing that kind of really puzzled me. He came in, they moved the ball well. He was running hard, getting yards, in chunks. And then that was it. They took him back out, and I never saw him carry the ball again. So there's some stuff that Tenora's still got to figure out. I mean, it's early, get into conference play and get some things figured out. Maybe they're still looking at some stuff, but man, Tenora's got to get smarter, taking care of the football and not getting the penalties.
Yeah, looking at Otsego, as Coach Fairchild said, yeah, Grady Frank, good Lord. He's just a sophomore. And I think a majority of the starters we saw Friday night for Otsego were younger sophomores.
Kids, yeah.
So they got a very, very bright future, including this year.
And their roster's full. How many kids did you count?
73
on
more than
Otsego's
Liberty
roster.
Center.
Yep.
More kids than Liberty Center. It was amazing. But they have a very talented future for Coach Rutherford and the Knights up there. But yeah, Tinora had chance after chance after chance, just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah,
they had golden opportunity after golden opportunity to score a touchdown, fumble the ball, stopped on downs. Again, great game by Owen. Unfortunately, the 3 interceptions kind of negate some of the positive, but I think Josh Lee, what more can you say about him? You throw it in his general area, he's going to catch it. He made a heck of a catch.
He makes a nice reads and sits down. Like when Owen starts to scramble, he just finds the hole.
He does.
And he just sits down and lets Owen find him. But yeah, he was all over the field, defensively and offensively.
I'd say played solid on defense as well at linebacker. But yeah, I think for Tinora, I mean, you look at it, 5 turnovers and 132 yards in offense, and you still gave yourself a shot at the end of the game. I mean, they went for 2 to tie it up. Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't get it. Owen kind of got pressured, I believe, right, and was unable to get the ball off. But
and that wouldn't have mattered had they missed. Otsego missed 2 extra points.
Yeah, hit the upright, both of them.
Right. So again, how important special teams is.
Yeah. But on that play, Logan, I'm sorry to interrupt you. On that play, Owen Reynolds had made a nice catch and made a sweet move down the sideline to get that in the end zone to give him that chance. Nice throw by Farrell, and then nice move to sidestep the
right in the seam.
Defender. Yeah. So
I mean, that's the thing with Tinora. I mean, I had the opportunity to go talk to the team. I talked about details, and I think this game really speaks volumes for that. I mean, all the small little details, whether it's penalties or missing blocks. They had a little bit of trouble getting up to the second level, picking up those blockers, and it shows they had trouble establishing the run game. 64 total rushing yards, but I think there's a lot of potential on this team. But it's just a matter if they can piece things together and do all the little things right, because it kind of snowballs in a sense if you don't do those little things. Penalty after penalty after penalty, turnover after turnover. If you take care of those things and clean them up, I think Tinora wins this game handedly. I mean,
absolutely.
How many times do you hear of a team with the turnover ratio 5-1 and still being competitive late in the fourth quarter, and you have a shot to tie the game and possibly win it? So definitely got to go back. I think, when you're like that, again, continue to be self-critical and look at the film and, try to continue to learn. I think that's the biggest thing. So
when it came down to it, they trailed. We thought they were out of the game with 5 minutes to go. Was it 27-14?
I think so.
With 5 minutes to go.
Second and third quarters were pretty dead. And first and fourth were totally different ball team.
The Rams did everything they needed to do except convert the 2-point conversion in the last 4 minutes.
Right.
So needed to score, got to score, needed to stop, they got to stop, needed another score. They needed to go 89 yards for that score.
Yeah.
I mean, with 2 minutes to go?
Something like
and
that.
Farrell drove him. She said, nice catch by Reynolds to take it in for the score. But, you take the last 4 minutes and make that over, an entire game, and it's a totally different outcome. So,
and one last thing, Rams were missing their starting running back, Cooper
didn't
Replogle, so he didn't play. He's a little banged up from the week before, so he was setting. So that makes a difference as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the leaders on the team too, offense and defense. He's one guy that really sticks out to me on that team as maybe not necessarily a vocal leader, but just with the energy he brings each and every game. Yep. So, that's definitely a factor. But yeah, like you guys said, just kind of wrapping things up. Abram, I thought, played pretty well.
He did.
Made couple different plays on offense and really kind of gave them a spark on that one drive. They couldn't finish in the end zone. I believe fumbled within the 5-yard line. But, Tinora is, again, one of the toughest non-conference schedules. They got to turn things around in a hurry because Archbold comes into town this week. But going to be a big game for the Rams as the 95 Tinora team, first team in Tinora history, comes back for a little bit of celebration reunion. So a lot going on in Tinora Friday night. So we'll see if the Rams can turn it around. Let's look at the next game. Looking at St. Henry at Archbold, and St. Henry ended up winning this game 27-19. At the half, St. Henry is up 19-0. Total offense for the game, Archbold had 349 yards, 187 rushing with 162 passing. St. Henry had 359 with 185 rushing, 174 passing. Turnovers, Archbold had 1 with 1 interception. And St. Henry had 3, 2 fumbles and 1 interception. Some top players of note from Archbold. Running back Ryder Ryan. This guy, he's really turning into one of the best running backs, I think, in the NWOAL. 6 carries, 119 rushing yards, good for 19.8 yards a carry with 1 rushing touchdown. Quarterback Maddox Pinter, 13 of 27, 48%, 139 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns with 1 interception. Wide receiver Aringer Krieger, 4 receptions, 76 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And wide receiver Morgan Harris had a receiving touchdown as well. From St. Henry, top players quarterback Charlie Whirling, 7 of 15, 174 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown, and he did have 1 interception. So, guys, thoughts on the St. Henry Archbold game? I know we had talked week 1 a little bit about the quarterback combination. Right. This week it looks like Maddox got a little bit more of the playing time back there. So, thoughts on the St. Henry at Archbold game?
I'll tell you what, you're not going to see much more of a balanced attack from both teams on that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're both about pretty much even, but Archbold struggling a little bit, trying to get going this year, and we'll see what they do coming up.
Yeah, good comeback by the Streaks. I mean, kind of like Tinora, if you could take the second half and flip it over an entire game, then more than likely Archbold comes on top. But yeah, it kind of makes you wonder about the quarterback thing, Logan. Like, did he get hurt, or was that just a coaching decision that?
I believe from week 1, Jarrett got more of the offense.
Snaps, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting to see, and we're going to find out this week too. Covering the game. So I think it's going to be a good game this week against Tinora. But yeah, with Archbold, they got some stud wide receivers. Aringer Krieger's pretty solid. Morgan Harris, we saw had that crazy reception last week. So definitely showing that they can throw the ball a little bit, and we definitely know they can run the ball with Ryder Ryan. So unfortunately, Archbold just couldn't pull it off, but. For Archbold to have no points at the half and score 19 second half points to, try to make a comeback, just came up a little bit short. But, Archbold, I think they're showing that, they've got a little something going on over there. So
I agree.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Looking at Eastwood at Liberty Center. And, we were kind of curious going into this game, what is Liberty Center going to do, kind of regarding the passing game, maybe against a better team like Eastwood. So Liberty Center ended up coming out with a win, 48-14. At the half, Liberty Center was up 34-14. Total offense, Liberty Center threw up 507 yards of offense, 397 yards rushing with 110 passing. Eastwood had 253 yards, 231 passing, 41 rushing. Turnovers, Liberty Center had 1 interception. Eastwood had 1 fumble. You're going to want to listen to this stat line. Probably one of the craziest stat lines I've seen in a couple of years. Top players from Liberty Center, running back Garrison Cruz, 12 carries, 249 rushing yards, averaging 20.7 yards a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 receptions, 33 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 4 total touchdowns. And I'm sure that he probably didn't play all the way in the fourth quarter either, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And that's against a solid Eastwood team, and it's just phenomenal. And then you got guys like Thomas Mholer contributing 14 carries, 95 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. If you're not talking Garrison Cruz, I mean, that's a top stat line for any team. But, it's what I just can't even say what a combo between those 2 running backs. Got to be one of the best in Northwest Ohio. Quarterback Caden Kreinbrink, 8 of 14, 57%, 110 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 interception. So Kreinbrink showing that he can throw the ball a little bit, against some of the better teams in Northwest Ohio. And Eastwood quarterback Braden Leiterhart, 20 of 30, 223 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. They had 5 carries for 19 rushing yards. So, guys, again, what are your thoughts on this Liberty Center and Eastwood game? Liberty doing Liberty things.
Boy, not to beat a dead horse, we've talked about this every year for 3 straight years. Is this team better than the previous year's team? Because through 2 weeks, it certainly seems to be. Maybe not as an elite defensive squad, but offensively, they certainly appear to be at least a step or 2 ahead of the last previous 2 Liberty Center offensive teams. I mean, look at those numbers. I mean, 507 total yards, almost 400 rushing yards. Kreinbrink, not quite as hot as he was against the Rams in week 1, but still 8 of 14 for 110 yards. I mean, like Liberty Center doesn't throw for 110 yards.
Why do you need to throw the football when you're running 397? It's not even like the running backs got all that many opportunities either.
It's just offensively insane numbers, just insanity from the Tigers through 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's nuts, but there's they're just gonna keep throwing up the offensive numbers, but we know they're gonna rush to be able to run the ball. I mean that's Liberty Center's forte. Throwing the ball is a different breed. It's a different animal for Liberty Center. And if you could throw up 110 yards, that could be the difference in a game. They don't need much, but you need some. But the one thing they see in this stat line, guys, that I'm a little concerned about for Liberty Center is they give up 231 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. That's different from last year, guys. That's when they had the triplets back there, picking passes off and stuff. So they definitely got to figure out the pass coverage defensively. But other than that, offensively, they're clicking just like they've always been doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to Liberty Center lost a couple good defensive backs and all-state players in Cam Colley and Grady Miller. So, those guys aren't back there. But again, Liberty Center is one of those programs that continues to reproduce athlete after athlete, and they take over. So, maybe a little bit green in the back end, but, again, like a lot of these other teams, even teams like Liberty Center have things to work on. And,
right.
We saw that, they keep making it to the state championship, and they're trying to take it to the next level and win it all. So, I know Coach Moeller and company over there, they're hungry and they're going to continue to learn from each and every game. So let's move on to the next game. In the final game of our recaps, we're looking at Van Wert at Elida. Van Wert won this game 19-14. At the half, Van Wert was down 7-14 to Elida. Total offense for the game, Van Wert had 339 yards, 184 rushing, 155 passing. Elida had 350 yards, 198 rushing, 152 passing. Turnovers, Van Wert had 3 with 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. And Elida had 4 with 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Some top players of note from Van Wert. Running back Xavier Kelly, 20 carries, 137 rushing yards, good for 6.85 yards a carry. 2 receptions, 96 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Quarterback Zach Crummy, 11 of 16, 69%, 155 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, but he did have 2 interceptions. Also had 12 carries for 26 and 1 rushing touchdown. And wide receiver Micah Cohen, 5 receptions, 27 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So, guys, looking at this game, I actually had Elida pick. So Van Wert and the Cougars proved me wrong. Glad to see it, one of our coverage teams. But I think Van Wert's starting to turn some heads there. They blew out Bryan pretty big. Going into that game, I'm sure everyone had Van Wert as the favorite, but, against a team like Elida is no slouch of a team. So to go out there, win 19-14, come back in the second half and win it all, I think that's showing a lot about the Cougars this year. But thoughts on Van Wert at Elida?
I was like you, Logan. I had Elida pick. So I saw the score at halftime. I'm like, hey, it might win one there. But yeah, didn't pan out for me in the end. But
no, I think Van Wert's going to win some games.
I think they are too.
Like 7-3 overall, but this is Xavier Kelly. Seen some video of him. Boy, oh boy, like lightning in a bottle. He's going to have a fantastic season this year. So, but a quality win for Van Wert for sure.
Yeah, I think Van Wert's going to be one of those teams in the WBL that have a really good shot at upsetting maybe some of your top teams. I mean, I think maybe they'll play Wapakoneta. Pretty competitive. Lima Bath and Van Wert would be an interesting game. I know Lima Bath has been pretty solid this year, and their offense is high-flying. So I'm curious to see what the Cougars do this year, especially, again, another program. Word on the street is they've got upper 60s, I believe, and roster numbers. So it's excellent to see in Northwest Ohio when I feel like we continue to talk about numbers dwindling. Some of these programs are doing it right and able to recruit more kids to come out and play the great game of football. So I'm excited to see what Van Wert does the rest of the season. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. DSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit, to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. So be sure to submit your play each week for a chance to be submitted on the podcast. And we thank Titan Sports for sponsoring. Titan Sports offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. And recently they just paired up with Huddle too. So definitely going big time for those guys. All right. Again, this week we had a lot of different plays sent in. So let's take a look at some of the great honorable mention plays from the Northwest Ohio area.
Five receivers out again for the Rams. Farrell feels the pressure, throws it out there over the head of Lee. Intercepted. Juggling interception.
Oh.
Reinberger, they're going to say he caught it. Reinberger.
As I always say, there can only be one. This week's Titan Sports Play of the Week is going to go to Tinora's Josh Lieb. This play coming up, the concentration to catch the ball one-handed. The play literally goes from potential pick six to huge gain for Tinora. Absolutely incredible, really showing off the concentration and athleticism. And this was just one of the few huge catches Lieb had on Friday night. So check this out right now.
The hash, Otsego jumps but gets back. Farrell straight back drop, feels the pressure, fires it out here near the side. Ball's almost in.
Oh my gosh.
Caught by Josh Lieb at 35, 30, 25, 20, pitched out of bounds at the 20.
Wow.
Went from almost a pick six to Josh Lieb getting a Rams first down into the red zone.
Oh my gosh, that's a play of the week right there. Holy smokes.
No.
Caught that one-handed. Wow. How he held on to that, I have no idea, guys. But man, what a play.
Nice defender.
So we were all there. We all witnessed it. You know, we watched it again on replay. What were your guys' thoughts of this great catch on Friday night?
You just said it. It was literally, it was in the defender's hands. And, you know, like you said, the concentration to see that through the defender's hands, and then he kind of bobbles it himself, and the concentration to hold on to it. Just amazing. Just awesome.
I think our color commentator there, whoever that guy was, pretty much said it in a nutshell. Oh my gosh, whoever that guy was right there. But yeah, that was a heck of a catch, heck of concentration. I mean, gotta imagine that he was obstructed for a split second.
Yeah.
You know, and then. Yeah, heck of a catch, heck of a play.
Yeah, the oh my at the beginning was, I thought it was going for 6 the other way, and then he comes down with it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, I thought for sure that was gone for a touchdown for Otsego, and Otsego had been trying to jump those routes all night, and they got 3 interceptions on the night, but not on that one, and Elida was able to come up with a huge play there.
And a shout out to one of the honorable mentions, the Marquise Williams, I believe you said, Logan, was that him? I mean, that's 110% effort on that, because if you're on the other side of the ball over there, you'll see 99 out of 100 times probably most kids just quit.
Oh, 100%.
And for him to race all the way from the other side of the field all the way across to make that tackle is 110% all effort. So.
Yeah, and that was a play that we were considering, just you know, because you don't see really too many players make that. And I think we've seen a couple of the stat lines and some of his plays. I mean, that's a kid that can go play at the next level, and he's showing what his drive and his effort is. And for him to run all the way across the field, he was on the backside playing cornerback, and was able to hawk that guy down to save a touchdown. Absolutely phenomenal. And, I talk a lot about details, and that's a detail play right there. 100% hustle, no doubt in his mind. He's going to go get the ball carrier and save a touchdown for his
that's
team.
One of those plays, like basically any play during a football game, you never know who's watching.
Oh, 100%.
And now all of a sudden, a play like that winds up as one of our possibility of being plays of the week. So,
yeah. Great effort out of both those kids, but like I said, there can only be one, and we went with Josh Lieb. A little bit more exciting to watch, but nonetheless, that play by Marcus Williams, again, phenomenal play from him too. So again, I mean, there's a lot of good plays that are submitted, and it's tough to pick just one. So let's move on to Player of the Week from Week 2, sponsored by BSN Sports. So we got a whole list of players. We're going to roll through the list who made the final cut, and then we'll kind of talk about maybe some people who were in contention for being the one and only Player of the Week. All right, let's look at the list here. First up is Patrick Henry quarterback Tristan Rosebrook, Hicksville quarterback Colin Lievo, Napoleon running back Hayden Grohl, Lipsick quarterback Mark Kirkendall, Edgerton quarterback Maddox Baker, Holgate quarterback Mateo Gomez, striker running back Noah Dotson, Fairview quarterback Will Zedike, Fairview wide receiver Logan Olinger, Delta running back Marcus Nagel, Defiance running back linebacker Chase Comiso, and Liberty Center running back Garrison Cruz. So guys, who is maybe a player that you're kind of looking at for possible Player of the Week?
For me, I was kind of looking at Defiance, Chase Comiso, because it's just one of those things where he's been kind of a workhorse for him, doing it on offense and defense. So 22 carries, 157 yards with the TD, and then an interception on defense. That's just all around play.
Back-to-back weeks too.
Yeah.
Mine was a name that seems to be on this list almost every single week the last couple seasons is Fairview's junior 3-sport star, Logan Olinger. 10 receptions, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, 2 more touchdowns rushing, an interception on defense, and he still has 1 more year to play. And I'm sure he's going to be our award winner at least once or twice this week because, like I said, he's on our list every single week.
Yeah, even without thinking, he's top 3 for wide receiver in Northwest Ohio, possibly 1. That's without even thinking. Yeah. Like, he's already thrown into that list. So very talented from him. But after some talk and some consideration, this one athlete really stood out more than the rest, and that's going to go to Liberty Center running back Garrison Cruz. We talked his stat line earlier, 249 rushing yard and 12 carries. He's averaging 20.75 yards a carry. I believe I saw a highlight on one of the news stations, and slicing and dicing the defense and making cuts all over the field. He's a big kid too, and he really shows off his speed. But 3 rushing touchdowns. He also had 2 receptions for 33 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown for 4 total touchdowns in the game. Like we said earlier, against a solid Eastwood team. Absolutely great job from Garrison. And, we talk about Olinger being on this list a lot. Garrison Cruz is probably going to be on this list almost every single week, and that's guaranteed. Absolutely. So congratulations to Garrison from Liberty Center. The Player of the Week will receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So we want to thank sales rep Jim Garrison and Rob Held for being great supporters of coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. So those guys really help make things go. All right, we are on to what a lot of people always think is controversial, is the Week 3 power rankings. And again, it is a little tough to kind of truly rank teams. The season's starting off early. But, man, I posted this last week, and people are already on social media arguing about where teams should be and this and that. And again, I always have to tell people when they ask, why is this school or that school not in the top 25 or 26? Because they think I'm just not ranking them because they're that bad. I said, no, I can only cover so many schools. I don't want to get too much where, you can't even, accurately cover these teams. Yep. So maybe in the future, get more help and, some other things. So
well, at least Logan, know what it's like to be on the NCAA selection committee.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, 100%. Just throw me on that committee and I'll fit right in. So like always, I'll start from number 26. We'll work our way down and these guys will, kind of agree, disagree, or, have a little conversation if they think where some of these teams should end up. So let's start at number 26. We're looking at North Central, 25 Swanton, 24 Hilltop, 23 Wayne Trace, 22 Ayersville, 21 Antwerp, 20 Hicksville. Thoughts on this group here?
Nope. I think you got it.
Yep.
19 Eden, 18 Montpelier, 17 Bryan, 16 Edgerton, Tinora, 15.
I mean, I'm just reading myself to see where Edgerton and Bryan wind up in the next 2 to 3 weeks myself. But right now, I think that's perfectly ranked for those two.
Yeah.
Looking at number 14, Wauseon, number 13, Ottawa-Glandorf, number 12, Paulding, number 11, Columbus Grove will save the top 10.
I want to throw the lighter on the fire, but
I know where you're going.
Paulding's 12. Could they be 12? They could be in the top 5 before the year's out, but you don't know. I mean, no fault of theirs, but you got to play a little better. You can only play who's on your schedule. I totally understand, but in the future, this just accurately ranked, I guess. But we'll see what the future holds.
Well, let's leave it at that.
There's another big kind of big move on this list too. I didn't know if you guys were going to bring it up, but thoughts on Columbus Grove dropping quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to win, and they haven't been playing well the first 2 weeks, and
got a rough one this week too, so they could fall even more.
Which is weird. I mean, Columbus Grove's been at the top every week in and week out for years, last couple of years. So
time.
It's see them dropping down, start the season 0-2. They haven't done that in years.
Yeah,
right? So it's a little difficult year for Columbus Grove, but hopefully Coach Schaefer gets some turnaround.
All right, breaking the top 10, we're looking at Lipsick coming in at 10, Archbold at 9, 8 Delta, 7 Evergreen, 6 Napoleon will save the top 5.
I think Lipsick is like a team to watch in the area
They
myself.
are.
And also, it is great to see teams like Delta and Evergreen in the top 10.
Yeah,
honestly,
correct.
it's just kind of makes you feel good. It
Yeah,
really
seeing
does.
Evergreen 2-0.
Yep.
I mean, that's awesome.
We had the kids on the coaches show, and those kids you like to follow. The ones that kind of make an impact on you and stand out. And those two teams have some great athletes and great kids. So.
And Evergreen's got something going. We talk about all the coach changes, and they really face some adversity in that. It's tough when new coaches come in, but Coach Coles, I think, is keeping things pretty similar to what Coach Bach had last year, so that makes things a little bit easier on the kids. But I mean, if you guys remember, I believe Evergreen finished 3rd last year in the NWOAL.
I believe so,
or 3rd or 4th, I think. But
3rd, I think they finished 3rd.
Yeah, because they beat Delta and Archbold last year to put them in 3rd place in NWOAL, which that's saying a lot because NWOAL is always a tough conference. So. It's good to see them up there, but Lipstick is kind of one of those teams that I really want to keep an eye on this year.
Absolutely.
They've got Mark Kirkendall at quarterback, Marcus
offense,
Williams,
right.
very exciting. And if you look at a lot of their games, man, they can score the football in a hurry, similar to what Fairview does. I believe last week they were down. They were trying to play catch up, and in the 4th quarter, I think they scored, I don't know, in the teens or 20s of points to come back and win. So a very exciting team, and I think they're capable of doing big things. Yep. All right, breaking the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Van Wert. 4 Defiance, 3 Fairview, 2 Patrick Henry, and 1 Liberty Center. So I'm me kind of looking at this. I think there's definitely one that could possibly be a toss-up. But again, it's tough to rank a lot of these teams being early on in the season.
Yeah, Defiance 2-0, but like we said, you still got that 4-leaf clover in their back pocket, I think. So
yeah, but they want them. That's all that matters,
right? 2-0.
Yeah, I think looking at this, I think your top 3, Liberty Center, Patrick Henry, and Fairview, are pretty much solidified at this point. I think, Defiance, maybe some question marks. I mean, they are still 2-0, but, they're getting the job done. And Van Wert, I think, is the big one for me of where do we place them? And, I believe they've got a big one coming up this week. Let me see who Van Wert has. Lima Bath. So that's going to be a big test this week. So I think that will kind of help place, where the Cougars belong too. Right. But again, I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that Liberty Center is number one again. So they're the king of the mountain, and until someone can dethrone them, they're going to be number one for quite a while. So, all right. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back with the Hot Takes, sponsored by BSN Sports.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at battandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Readers' Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tinora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TinoraRams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to the Hot Takes, sponsored by BSN Sports. And I just was telling these guys, I want to remind you, these are fan-submitted, so they're not all for me.
Don't go burn Logan's house.
That's right.
Down.
After last week, I know I posted a hype video for the Defiance and Napoleon hot take, about the rivalry being overrated. I did not personally say that. Just want to get that out there. But again, I usually post each week, and the fans submit these and create some good conversations. So definitely appreciate that. We have a lot of fun with this segment. So a couple good ones today. We're going to have a lot of good conversation with this segment here. So let's get into things. The first hot take is the Green Meadows Conference is the most overrated conference in Northwest Ohio. In non-conference play, the GMC went, I believe, 7-9 is what it was sent in against opponents, with Paulding going 2-0, playing a cupcake schedule to contribute 2 wins. Gone are the days of players like Dawson Dales, Hunter Prince, Colby Spees, Tyler Showalter, etc. So pretty bold statement. But I think there might be maybe a little bit of truth to this. Who wants to kick this one off?
I'll go after it. I mean, are they overrated? I don't really hear anybody bragging about the Green Meadows Conference. You know what I mean?
True.
So to say it's overrated, we talk a lot about the NWOAL, because you've got the PHs and the Liberty Centers. I think we've even admitted that the GMC is down. We have anyway.
Absolutely.
The GMC is not the GMC of the past, that's for sure. When you had good teams like when you played, Logan, the Wayne Traces back then, the Ayersvilles back then. I don't know that it's been overrated. I guess I'd like to see why they say it's overrated.
Yeah, I think kind of looking at this, I know that, they mentioned some great players from GMC in the past, but yeah, and I think we talked about this a little bit last year too. I think, and AJ, I think you were the one that even said this, that it's not necessarily, there's not good athletes. I mean, there's a lot of good athletes, but maybe the amount of players being like, some of your elite of the elite. You look back then, and we were talking off air, like how many years were there probably 5 or 6 players that were first team All Ohio?
Yeah.
In addition to being second, third team, honorable mention. I felt like the list was, a full sheet long, and now it's maybe a little bit less, but I don't know, Keith. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Tony said. Like, is it overrated? Yeah, I mean, nobody's really bragging upon how
I think
good
that's
the
the big
GMC
thing. I don't really
is.
hear people going out and
Right.
stating like NWOAL, for
Yeah,
instance.
this GMC could beat anybody in the area. I don't hear anybody saying
I mean,
that.
No, right.
Like, obviously, Fairview's probably the best team in the GMC. Probably a little bit head and shoulders above Tinora and Paulding, I would say. But if you put them in the NWOAL, like, what would their record be? Would it be 6-4? Like, is Fairview going? They beat Delta, won a very good game. I mean, but are they going to beat Patrick Henry? Are they going to beat Evergreen? Are they going to beat Liberty Center? Those are coin flip games. Obviously, they're not going to beat Liberty Center. You wouldn't think, but like, you just don't see the athletes from years gone by, from 10, 15 years ago. Like, each team had 5, 6, 7 studs. Now you'll see your average GMC team have 3, maybe 4 good players.
Yeah.
Nobody that stands out head and shoulders above the rest. Like you said, Fairview's probably the exception with a couple guys on offense. But you just take your average GMC team, and you're going to see any of the kids go to the next level, like play at Defiance College or Findlay or anybody like that. More than likely not. So.
And I think too, talking talent level, like, there's a lot of great players from the GMC, and that's why I was trying to post on social media before to get some names. But you think, the names I just listed, Demetrius Traps was another great running back from Ayersville. He went on to play at the University of Findlay. Ryan Radcliffe and Bed Wonderly. I mean, that duo was unstoppable back in the day. You had running backs like, these are guys that I looked up to at Tinora, even though I didn't play running back, but you always kind of looked up to the older guys. But like your legends like Lyndon Beneke and Blake Fours of, Tinora, and a lot of great players. But
Kip McCann's another one in there. Kip McCann would have
Kevin
probably would have
Dravises.
broke the school record had he not
He
tore
would
his
have.
knee up in his senior year. That's what's crazy about him. That people don't even. He kind of gets dropped off, but that he would have broke the all-time rushing record had he not gotten hurt.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of solid players, but yeah, in today's day and age, and I don't know. I mean, do you think? I mean, you're probably limited on 2. I mean, you look at the number of all these teams, your selection's lower. I mean, Paulding has the lowest number of kids they've ever had with 25.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not getting as many kids coming out. So, I mean, obviously, I think your pool from athletes maybe coming out is a little bit less to have some of these elite kids. And I don't know. I think it's interesting. But, yeah, I think this big takeaway from this hot take is no one's really bragging about the GMC at this point in time. So, I mean, if they do, then I think maybe they probably shouldn't. I don't know.
I mean,
GMC's got some solid players and some solid teams, but overall, like all encompassing, I don't think it's as strong as it has been. You go back 10, 15 years.
I definitely don't think it's overrated. So,
all right. Definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Next one. This is a Wauseon Indians one, which we talked about, I believe, a little bit last week too. But they submitted the 1993 Wauseon Indians would beat all these teams by at least 24 points. And by stating all these teams, they're talking about all the teams this year. So just wanted to break down a couple things. For those who don't know, Wauseon, the 1993 team, was a state champion team. They went a perfect 14-0 record. They outscored regular season opponents 392-76. They scored 40 or more points 7 times. They had 3 defensive shutouts and held opponents to under 10 points 8 times. It was actually the first playoff appearance in school history. Head football coach Mark Emmons, co-coach of the year in Division III. They were led by first-team All-Ohio quarterback Corey Griggs, who was a junior that year. Second-team end Jared Bannister, who was a senior, and Gordy Frey was second-team All-Ohio defensive back, who was a junior. And there were only 5 divisions back then. But before I get to the next team, I'm going to kind of compare them to. That's a pretty bold statement. I mean, I know that team was good, but there's a team in our coverage area that is pretty solid as well. So, and I know this year, it's kind of hard to compare this year because they've only gone through two games to this point.
If you compare them to last year,
I was going to kind of compare it to a team from last year. We're comparing, teams from back then to now. And this team this year has a lot of those players returning, and that's Liberty Center Tigers. So just for reference to what the 2024 Liberty Center Tigers did, they went 15-1, 433-42 points outscoring their opponents compared to Wauseon's 392-76. They scored more than 40 points 6 times in the regular season, 6 shutouts in the regular season. Playoffs, they outscored opponents 216-75. and talking all Ohio players, and I get it. There's more divisions this year than there were back then, and there's also third team all Ohio. There's also honorable mention, and back then I believe they just had first or second team is all what I could find. But you had Waylon Rentz, first team running back, Cam Colley, first team all Ohio defensive back, Brady Giesecke, third team all Ohio offensive line, Garrison Cruz, honorable mention. All these kids are all honorable mention. Honorable mention running back, Ian Rosebrook. Honorable mention kicker, Stephen Brogan. Honorable mention linebacker, Grady Miller, defensive back. Honorable mention. And that list could have and should have probably been a little bit longer. I think there were some kids that were slighted, especially on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They probably ran for the most yards, I believe, in all of Division 5 and probably other divisions too. But they only get one offensive lineman on that postseason accolades, which that's a discussion, for another date. But regardless, you have 2, 4, 6, 7 all Ohio players, and you have 2 first teamers. Guys, I think I agree. I think Wauseon would blow out a lot of the other teams, but I don't think they're taking down a Liberty Center Tigers team.
I don't think they beat Liberty Center's team the last 2 years.
I mean,
I just, I don't know. I didn't get to watch the 93 Wauseon team play, but
I know the 93 Wauseon team was good. I mean, they had some absolute studs with Griggs on there. You had Bannister and you had Frey, but I mean, the depth that Liberty Center has is, I don't think I've ever seen anything from teams like that.
Yeah, as I jokingly said between the break when we were talking about this off camera, I was like, "Boy, that's a no for me, dog," as Randy Jackson would say on American Idol. But it says, I guess the key for me is the 93 Wauseon Indians would beat all of these teams by at least 24 points. I find it hard to believe that, and trust me, I remember the 93 Wauseon Indian teams back then. Very good. I mean, talented as heck. But to beat the Liberty Center team from last year or even the year before by at least 24 points, I find that really, really hard to fathom.
I think if that question's phrased a little bit differently, maybe just to beat, but beat by 24 points, right. I mean, that's a blowout.
Yep.
I know my good buddy Tom will watch this back and send me a message about this. But, yeah, I mean, that Wauseon team was a hell of a team. It really was. But some of the Liberty Center numbers are probably skewed because offensively, how many of those games did they have a running clock? How many of these games did they pull the starters after the half?
Yeah, first drive of the third quarter, then it.
But back then, like in in the 80s and 90s, you just didn't pull your starters. Like basically, they played every second of every game.
Yep.
I mean, maybe the final drive you would pull them out and then put your JVers in. But I mean, to me, 3/4 of these Liberty Center stats are kind of skewed a bit because they didn't play the entire game.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, could they put up 600 offensive points? Yes.
Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, they hung 70 on Swanton last year. And, you figure some of those other games, if there was no running clock and they left the starters in, they could have probably easily averaged, well, maybe not average, but scored more games with 70 or more points in a football game.
But, yeah, this is a great I love topics like this. To compare teams and generations and eras, it's hard to do because – you have like Logan pointed out.
I wasn't even alive in '93.
You had.
So I don't. I mean, I hear all the great things of the '93 Wauseon teams, but it's different if you were able to actually witness, what kind of greatness they had in that year. So
you have, as you pointed out, you have more divisions now. Teams back then had more kids per roster. I would say. Maybe back in this era, like it was nothing on a Friday night to see every team have at least 45 to 50 kids in the area, and we're talking Holgate Tigers.
Yeah.
So now they're playing 8-man. I mean, but I like that. I like that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think too, if you're listening or watching, submit in the comments too what your thoughts and opinions are, especially if you're around in '93 and you're able to watch that '93 Wauseon team. And nowadays, obviously, people can see what Liberty Center's doing. Let us know what your thoughts are, because I'm kind of curious too to hear, what people from back in the day witnessed with Liberty or with Wauseon.
Yes.
Obviously now I can watch Liberty Center, but I like to draw the comparisons and see, how those teams would fare against each other.
Kind of outline your facts too. Just don't put like a thrown together, spewed
straight opinion.
Yeah, as opinion.
You can
throw
support it
some
with some
facts in there, please.
That would be excellent. And so. Yeah, that's a good one. I kind of like some of those and those hypothetical scenarios, and it makes things interesting.
Definitely.
So the last one, not really a hot take, but I think it's a good point that, needs to be mentioned. And that was submitted. A good football mom/parents group are the unsung heroes of any successful programs. Organizing team meals, feeding the team after games, organizing things for the coaches, planning senior activities, the list goes on and on. Every program has them, but their hard work is often overlooked and forgotten. They deserve a shout out and a huge thank you. And I think that's a big point. I think, with successful football programs, there's a lot of efforts that go on behind the scenes that maybe they don't get, the recognition and, the thank yous that they deserve because there's a lot of things that go on. And, I see it with Tinora. My mom helps out a lot with that among the other parents. But to make things, easier for the kids, make them comfortable. And, that's one thing with good programs. If you can get everyone on board from, fans to parents to coaches to players, it takes a whole group effort to really create a winning culture and a dominant culture. And, I like that point a lot. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for anybody that's been around a football team, everybody here basically, the amount of stuff that the parent group does to help out, pregame meals, like how many times when we leave, we see the kids just sitting out back by the bus, eating a sack lunch or drinking a Gatorade. I mean, that they don't get that stuff at the concession stand.
Yeah.
The parent group has to come up with all that and organize all that.
And all the fundraising
all the
efforts
fundraisers and all that stuff that nobody knows about. You just see the pictures of, and you're like, well, who took care of that? I don't know. But, yeah, the parent group does a fantastic job for most all area schools around at least our Northwest Ohio coverage area.
Yeah, coming from a coach, I mean, there's no words to describe it. The help you get from parents, and when they buy in and they're helping you out, they're providing food for the kids, and after the game, and like you said, helping out with fundraisers, whatever it takes. Normally if you can get parents to help out, it just helps you out so much as a coach. It takes that little bit of, for me, it's like, I have parents that run the concession stand for us in softball, and Kelsey Spangler's doing it this year. Skylie Zoma's mom was doing it before that, and it's huge when you can just take care of that.
Yeah,
You
no
go buy
worries.
what you need. Here's the startup money. Just take care. And it's a thing off your plate you don't have to take care of. When I was coaching junior high football, the parents bringing the sandwiches and stuff after the games. It's just nice to have those kids have those snack and stuff like that. The only thing we got to worry about is make sure they don't make a mess out of the bus. But but no, it's awesome when you have parents helping out. It makes it so much easier on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Maybe some kids, and I know a lot of schools are very thankful, but maybe gets overlooked and kind of taken for granted. But I can tell you what, I remember as a player, getting those ham sandwiches and those sack lunches hit different after games. So
absolutely.
I always appreciated those as a player, and you're always starving after a game and something to hold you over for a little bit until you could get some food when you got home. Right. That always hit the spot. So
some of the games you go to are you're quite a ways away from home.
Yeah.
It's like especially for softball. We'll travel like Otsego just the other night. That's a pretty good haul home. So you got a 45-minute bus ride. Having a little sandwich to smash down on the way back on the bus is good.
And I'll never forget because, Tinora, they've always done the same thing ever since I've played, because I know this because my mom still makes the sandwiches and helps out for my youngest brother. But ham sandwich, bag of chips, some kind of dessert thing, and then usually something other little. But I always remember on the bus, all the trading that would go on between snacks and bags of chips, and people trading a ham sandwich and a Slim Jim for some kind of Little Debbie or whatever. I'll never forget that. So that's always funny is all the bargaining for people trying to get what they want, because the snacks are all kind of assorted when it comes to the chips and stuff. But I always got a kick out of that growing up. So but thank you for all the parents groups, and then the moms and the dads out there that help support these programs, because in a day and age where, it's getting tough to, get help for, coaching and, support from the program and fans, these parents groups just make things 10 times easier for all the coaches. And if you can make things easier for the coaches and they can focus more on the game rather than all the off the field stuff, it's just great for the sport and great for Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, it's like one of those program building things, really. I mean, if you're a little kid, after the game, you're playing football you don't even watch any of the high school game. You're playing with your friends. Then after the game, you see, oh, hey, these high schoolers, some of my heroes are eating sack lunches after the game. That's pretty cool. So, that'll keep them interested.
But Yeah, I think that was just a good point. Not necessarily a hot take, but just definitely a huge shout out and thanks to all the parents out there.
Absolutely.
All right, so just make sure you keep submitting those each week. If you got something good, email it to us, submit it through social media. These are just good conversation pieces, and again, make sure they're actually hot takes, not just throwing mud at other teams, because some of those are kind of goofy. But if you got a good hot take for us, send it in, and we'll definitely talk about it. All right, we're gonna take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Week 3 game predictions.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment. RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center. Voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally. Check out Tinora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TinoraRams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Week 3 game predictions. So we got a lot of good games on the slate, so we'll read them off, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, let's start off with the first game on the slate. That's Sycamore Mohawk 2-0 at Ayersville 0-2. The Pilots, I think, in this game are going to have their hands full with Mohawk, a playoff team from a year ago. They're off to a nice 2-0 start. They've got wins against Tiffin Calvert, 39-6, pretty solid win, and Cardington Lincoln, 37-8. Ayersville on the flip side, still kind of trying to figure out things through the first 2 weeks. They've had a tough schedule playing Delta and then following it up with Patrick Henry. So, definitely no easy schedule there. But I think at the end of the day, I think Mohawk is going to take this one, and I think they win by a couple scores.
I'm with you, Logan. Ayersville still trying to find something. Mohawks for me.
Mohawk.
I'm with Sycamore.
And Matthew had Sycamore Mohawk as well, so Mohawk across the board. Next game, Edgerton 2-0 at Montpelier 1-1. Montpelier coming off a tough loss. Edgerton playing maybe a little bit of an easier non-conference schedule. But, coming up against Montpelier, are going to, see what they're made of playing on the road. I really like the way Edgerton's playing right now. I don't know how you can't. Maddox Baker's playing some solid football along with the other, skill positions and set. I think Edgerton takes this one. I'm curious to see. I really don't know margin-wise. I don't know if it could be close or it could be, pretty blown open. I think it's however Montpelier responds after coming off a bad loss last week. But I think Andy Robinson will have the boys ready to go. But I think Coach, I'm drawing a blank. Flagel is, going to be a little bit too much to top the locomotive. So give me Edgerton.
We'll see. I may have to issue Coach Flagel and Edgerton an apology after this week because I pulled the old not so fast on their on their season end record during our show a couple weeks ago. But Edgerton's playing very well right now. Offense is clicking on all cylinders with Maddox Baker. So taking the Bulldogs.
I'm gonna go with Bulldogs.
Bulldogs for me.
And Matthew had Edgerton as well. Next game, Bryan 1-1 at Fairview 2-0. Like I had mentioned before, this is a lot of computer points on the line for Fairview, playing a bigger division school like Bryan, and Bryan has that win over Division III Bowling Green. Again, I'm riding with the Apaches all year long, I tell you that. But Fairview, I think they go out, they win by a couple scores. I think this game's maybe a little bit closer than what people think. Bryan showed, that they're capable of getting to the next step and, getting a win against Bowling Green. I know Van Wert kind of blew them out in week 1, but I think Coach Staten is maybe starting to find a little bit of success there with the Golden Bears and getting the kids on the right track. I know they've been working really hard, but at the same time, when you've got players like Will Zedike, Logan Oling, or Gavin Mead, the list goes on and on. It's going to be tough to beat. So give me the Apaches.
Yeah, I'm interested to follow this game throughout our game just to see what the score is. Probably won't be like the last time I played at Fairview a few years ago, and it was like 65-48.
Yeah.
But interesting. I mean, I think Fairview will win, but I'm just curious to see what the final score will be.
Right.
I'm going to have to go with, I think I'm going to go with Fairview.
Fairview for me.
And Matthew had Fairview as well. Next game, Eden 1-1 at Hicksville 1-1. Kind of looking at this game on paper, I think this game was almost a toss-up. I had sat there a little bit and kind of went back and forth, but I just kind of like Eden a little bit better. I don't know. They've had a lot of success last couple of years. Hicksville's kind of struggled to get over the hump, but I think the Bombers get it done on Friday night.
Yeah, I took the Bombers.
I'm actually going to go with Hicksville.
I'm going with the Aces also.
And Matthew had Eden, so we're pretty split on that game. Next game, Archbold 1-1 at Tinora 0-2. This game will be on Tinora Rams Live, and we'll all be there on Friday night. Boy, I don't know. Again, I've said Tenora's got potential, but can they fix the little details and correct their mistakes? 130-plus yards and penalties, 5 turnovers. If they can take care of those things and take care of the football, I think they have a good shot at winning. But I think Archbold really impressed me last week with their outing against St. Henry, though they came away with a loss. Ryder Ryan's going to be tough to stop on Friday night. They're kind of developing that passing game as well, too. I think I'm going to take the Blue Streaks. I think this game is close. Again, Tinora is kind of getting to week 2 and week 3. Last year, if history repeats itself, this game's going to come down to the line again, just like the Otsego game.
Yep.
So definitely a coin flip game, but I think I'm taking the Blue Streaks.
I'm making my pick based on the last 5 minutes of the game last week. I think Tinora played well. Mine just a 4-minute stretch, but as long as we just don't have the outcome this year as we had last year during this game, I think everybody will be happy about that. But I think the Rams get her done and get the first one of the season. So taking Tinora.
Yeah, I think last week just something was going wrong that they had so many penalties and turnovers. I think that's a fluke. I think they do better than that this week, and I think they pull it out against Archbold.
Well, Keith, you made a prediction last year, and I'm going to make the same prediction. I think Tinora beats Archbold this year, and I think they go 7-3 to finish the season. They're going to lose to Fairview, but I think they're going to finish the season 7-3.
Sweet. I like it.
Tinora's my pick.
Matthew had Archbold. We'll come back to that statement later in the year, Tony. We'll see if you're right. Next game, Crestview 1-1 at Wayne Trace 0-2. This will be the NWO Sports Radio broadcast game of the week. And this game, Wayne Trace was competitive last week against Spencerville. Crestview kind of up and down and all around. Week 1 they played really well. Can't remember who they played, but the running back had a couple 100 yards of rushing. Played really, really well. But week 2 they go and play none other than Marion Local. That's always a tough draw. So coming off a tough loss to them. This is a rivalry game too, but I don't know if Wayne Trace necessarily has things figured out yet. A young team. They lost a couple key players to graduation. Crestview, we know they've got a good running back. I think I'm going to take the Knights in this one. But, in a rivalry game, sometimes you can throw, records out the door. But I think Crestview gets it done.
I'm with you, Logan. I got the Knights of Crestview.
I got to say, to start off with here, this is going to be a rough game for announcers and stuff like that between the two different color schemes going on. Wayne Trace's jerseys are always hard to see. So adding in the opposite of that, the blue with red, it's going to be hard to follow. But I'm going to go with Crestview on this one.
Crestview Knights for me.
And Matthew had Crestview, so Crestview across the board. Next game, Gibsonburg 2-0 at Delta 1-1. I think this is an interesting game too. Gibsonburg, I looked up. I believe they had beat, actually we talked to Michael Hearn. They beat St. Mary's, and I can't remember the other team that they beat as well, but 2 solid wins to start off the season. Delta, we know what they're capable of. Took Fairview down to the 4th quarter as well. I just don't know if they have enough to get it done against a solid Gibsonburg team. I think I'm going Gibsonburg.
I took Gibsonburg as well, but this again one of those scores I'd like to keep an eye on during our game. So it just a start to the NWOAL league play. Basically, you're getting a week earlier start than everybody else for a tough non-conference opponent here.
I'm gonna go with Gibsonburg.
And Gibsonburg for me.
And actually, I don't know if this is correct. I don't remember. Oh, I think it is. Maybe they didn't play St. Mary's. I'm wrong. Ottawa Hills, they won 49-14, and Rogers, they beat 49-13. So maybe a couple down teams, but nonetheless, Gibsonburg I'm taking, and Matthew's taking Gibsonburg as well. So Gibsonburg across the board. So we'll see how that game ends up. Next game, Evergreen 2-0 at Lake 0-2. The Vikings are flying sky high right now. Bryce Bolger and the boys are playing really solid football. I like Evergreen. I know they're a team. Again, the last couple of years we've been pretty high praising. I think they're just going to continue their success into this season. So even though they're on the road, I think Evergreen takes this, and I think they win by maybe a couple scores. That offense is hard to stop.
Yep, Evergreen for me.
Evergreen.
And Matthew had Evergreen as well. Next game, Otsego 2-0 at Liberty Center 2-0. Again, we know what kind of team Liberty Center is, and playing at their place, it's a tough place to win at. And I can't remember, someone maybe sent their home win streak. I think it's maybe like 28 or something. Could be more, but not very often do they lose there. And we saw what Otsego's capable of. Definitely have some good athletes, but at the end of the day, I think Liberty Center wins this. I think it's a running clock.
Yeah, we saw Otsego, as you said, Logan, last week. They're kind of one-dimensional. I mean, run the triple option, but they're really not going to throw the ball much. I think Liberty Center totally dominates Otsego in this one.
Yeah, I think they take away one of those options. You're not getting anything up the middle at all. You'll be lucky to get anything off tackle either. So you're going to be pretty much limited to everything on the outside, and it's only going to take a matter of a few plays to figure out how to stop that. And I think it's going to be a blowout here with Liberty Center taking it out.
LC for me.
And Matthew had Liberty Center as well. Next game, Columbus Grove 0-2 at Patrick Henry 2-0. I think this is going to be interesting. I mean, I think Patrick Henry obviously coming into the game as the favorite, being 2-0, playing some good football, but Columbus Grove struggling a little bit here to start. Now, after kind of looking at some things, I think I'm going to go with Patrick Henry. I think Columbus Grove, it's going to take a little bit of time. You know, their offensive and defensive lines are still young. Patrick Henry's got, again, probably one of the better offensive and defensive lines around, one of the best defensive linemen and defensive players in the area, and Grant Smith. So that's definitely going to be a challenge for the Bulldogs at Grove. But, let's see if Columbus Grove can, take it down to the wire and, make some improvements. Last week was a tough loss to Liberty Benton. We know Columbus Grove's well coached, but I think Patrick Henry's just maybe got, a little bit more of an edge right now. They're kind of riding high, and Coach Inselman's got the boys playing well. So give me the Patriots.
Yep, it's going to be a nice Friday night over at PH. Should be a nice crowd over there as well with these two teams playing. But I think Patrick Henry's just a little bit better than the Bulldogs this year. So I'm taking the Pats.
Yep. Patrick Henry for me.
PH for me.
And Matthew had Patrick Henry as well. Next game, Ottawa Hills 0-2 at Swanton 0-2. Who would have ever thought, Ottawa Hills starting off 0-2, been kind of a powerhouse in the TAC there the last couple of years, but, had at least one player transfer. Their starting running back transferred over, the Pillarelli kid, I believe, to St. Francis in Toledo. So definitely without him. Swanton, again, has been struggling for a while. And actually, I think Swanton has one of the longest losing streaks in the state of Ohio. I saw on Drew Pastor's website. So it's been quite a while since they've had a win. I think Ottawa Hills gets it done. I think the Green Bears are going to come out with a huge W and win by a few scores.
Green Bears for me.
Yeah, Ottawa Hills.
Ottawa Hills.
Hey, Matthew had Ottawa Hills as well. Ottawa Hills across the board. Next game, Wauseon 0-2 at Eastwood 1-1. We just saw what Eastwood was capable of against Liberty Center. Wauseon, man, week one, play Fairview very, very tough. Next week, they drop a tough loss by multiple scores to Bellevue. I don't know. The Indians are still trying to figure some things out. I really like Eastwood's chances in this one, especially being at home. I think Eastwood wins fairly big.
Taking Eastwood.
Eastwood for me.
Eastwood for me.
Matthew had Eastwood as well. Next game, Lima Perry 1-1 at North Central 0-2. North Central, again, kind of riding the struggle bus lately, trying to find their identity, and they've been struggling as of late. Lima Perry, don't know much about them, but, they've got a win under their belt, and I think I'm going to go with Lima Perry this week.
Perry for me.
Lima Perry.
Perry for me.
And Matthew had Lima Perry as well. Next game, Wapakoneta 2-0 at Defiance 2-0. Team of two unbeatens in the WBL. It's a good thing for Defiance, having this game at home. But man, Wapakoneta is the king of the WBL the last couple of years. Got a couple kids, I believe their quarterback and one of their wide receivers, possibly getting some bigger looks from some Division I schools. That's going to be tough to stop for Defiance. So I think I'm going to take Wapakoneta in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough night for the Dogs, I think. Wapak for me.
Yeah, Wapak.
I'm jumping out and taking the Bulldogs.
Oh.
Prediction on score.
It's going to be close. I don't think it'll be 2 points, but it'll be close.
And Matthew had Wapakoneta. So Tony going against the grain here, giving some love to the Bulldogs. Next game, Ottawa-Glandorf 0-2 at Kenton 0-2. Another game, kind of thought maybe was a coin toss, but I like the Titans in this one. Coach Schreiner, again, the team's well coached. They, like I said earlier, they're kind of on that roller coaster, just getting to the top, and they just need to get over that hump. And this is where it starts now. And I think they get a win this week in week 3.
Yep. OG for me.
OG.
And Matthew had OG as well. Next game, Lima Bath 2-0 at Van Wert 2-0. This is going to be the NWO Sports Game of the Week. This is going to be, I think, a good football team or football game to go watch. Lima Bath has got one of the top offenses in the WBL and really all in Northwest Ohio. I know we don't really cover them that much, but some big things happening in Lima there. And Van Wert and the Cougars kind of turning some heads. They beat Elida. They beat Bryan big. Not necessarily saying a whole lot, but, they're off to a solid start. And this game's at Van Wert as well, too. So with all that being said, I think Lima Bath wins. I think they win maybe by a couple scores, 14 points or so. but I think it's definitely a competitive game.
This could be another high-scoring game in our area.
Yeah.
But be a fun one to watch, that's for sure, down at Van Wert. But taking Bath.
I'm going to go with Van Wert on this one.
I'm going Cougars.
And Matthew had Lima Bath, so we're splitting that game. Next game, Anthony Wayne 1-1 at Napoleon 1-1. Anthony Wayne dropped a game early on, I believe, to Upper Arlington, I think, in week 1. Week 2, they come back and they went against the St. John's team. Napoleon, they drop a close one to Defiance. And last week, they win a game against Maumee. I believe Eggers was still out last week, so that's a big question. If he's in the game this week, that's definitely a huge help for them playing on both sides of the football. I think with that being a question mark, I don't know. It definitely hurts, some of Napoleon's chance. Anthony Wayne, again, has been a powerhouse in the NLL. I think on Friday night, I think Anthony Wayne gets it done. Napoleon could make this competitive, and I'm curious to see if Eggers gets out there on Friday. Not saying obviously, he's the whole team, but I mean he's a large portion and can definitely contribute. Grohl's been doing a phenomenal job filling in at running back. I've been very impressed with him. Kelby Parsons has been solid at quarterback and efficient, takes care of the football well. I think Anthony Wayne wins, but I think this one's close.
Yeah, whenever Eggers does get back healthy, that's a totally different Napoleon offense. But until then, taking the Generals of Anthony Wayne.
I'm going to go with Napoleon.
Ooh, AJ with the upset.
I'm going with Anthony Wayne.
And Matthew had Anthony Wayne. Next game, Lipstick 2-0 at Elmwood 0-2. We got a chance to see what Elmwood brings to the table this year in a scrimmage against Tinora. Looking like, struggling a little bit this year. Last year they struggled a little bit. Elmwood is maybe just not the same Elmwood of the past. Lipstick got a lot of good athletes with Kirkendall and Williams. I think Lipstick blows this one out of the water. I think they're pulling starters at halftime.
Yep, Lipstick for me.
Definitely Lipstick.
And Matthew had Lipstick. Next game, Antwerp 0-2 at Hilltop 0-2. Again, another team that's been kind of struggling a little bit the last couple of years in Hilltop. Antwerp have played a couple competitive games. I think I like Antwerp in this one, so give me the Archers.
Archers for me.
Antwerp
for me.
And Matthew had Antwerp. Next game, Paulding 2-0 at Delphus Jefferson 1-1. Probably the most competitive game so far that Paulding has had in their non-conference. So maybe find a little bit more about the Panthers and what they're capable of. But a lot of good talent. Only 25 kids on the roster, but guys like Roan House and Hunt and Avery Cooper and the Mans brothers. The list goes on and on. They've got a lot of talented players, and they're looking to make a run and get primed for GMC play. So I think the Panthers get it done in week 3.
Yep, Paulding.
And Matthew had Paulding as well. 1 8-man game on the slate this week, and that's Danbury 2-0 at Stryker 1-1. Again, we don't know too much about Danbury being a little bit further out. Stryker's 1-1. I think I like Danbury in this game.
Danbury for me.
Striker.
Big Striker guy.
I'm going Striker too. He's got to be on the bandwagon.
Matthew had Danbury, so the Fairchilds are on the Striker bandwagon right now. So, all right. Well, that concludes our week 3 game predictions. Closing thoughts, guys. Week 3.
The weather has changed now. We just looked at the weather forecast. Looks like it's going to be another nice night for football. It was predicting some rain, but it looks like they've called that off now. So, going to be a great night for football. If you don't have anything going on, we say it week in and week out. Get your butts out there and get in the seat and watch a game. Just pick one and go. If you don't have any kids to watch or grandkids to watch, just pick a game and go watch.
It's fun.
It'll be fun.
Absolutely. A few good games in the area. Looking forward to keeping one eye on the scoreboard and one eye on our game, Archbold and Tinora. But I just want to say thanks for everybody out there that watches and listens to our podcast. I think sometimes we just kind of take it for granted. We show up, we talk about high school football, and we joke between takes and whatnot. But every now and then I'll run into somebody at the store. We went to the Mud Hens game this weekend, and I had my polo on with the logo on, and some guy says, "Hey, I seen your guys' podcast," and he's like taking photos for the Mud Hens. So you never know.
Pretty cool.
So you never know who's watching or from where. So I think just thank everybody out there for watching. And like I said, sometimes I think we just come and talk about football and take it for granted. And there's people that watch that like I found out this weekend. I had no idea who this dude was.
Right.
But he's like, I saw your guys' podcast. So,
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, anyways, just thanks everybody out there for tuning in to us goofballs every week and listen to us talk about football.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Keith. Just appreciate all the support out there. And if you ever see us, wherever, stop and say hi, talk a little football. We never turn that opportunity down.
Never.
So, but yeah, no, we appreciate all the support that helps make this go. But, talking about some games, I had actually someone reach out preseason. They were already asking me, what are some good games on the schedule? Cause, I think, they've used to coach, I believe, and just wanted some good games to go to and watch as a fan. And I gave them kind of a list, but if you're listening to our game predictions, usually the game of the week is probably one of the best games. So that's kind of a little tip. If you just want a good football game to go watch and you want to go experience some different teams and some atmospheres and some stadiums in Northwest Ohio, really probably target, the game of the week that we have, because you're going to get your money's worth. That's for sure. But, week 3 already, I can't believe it. Like, I was just thinking, it's cliche. I know we always say it, it's crazy how fast time goes, especially during football season. But just a couple of weeks ago, we were doing the football show and having teams and coaches come out, and we're already week 3. I mean, we're almost a third of the way done with the regular season. So just absolutely incredible how fast football season goes by. But we have a lot of fun with it, and I think that definitely helps too. So I'm just excited for this week, and just get out there and support your teams like we always say, because especially this time of year, weather is perfect out. To the point where you can go to the game with a sweatshirt, go get something from the concession stands, kick your feet up, and watch some good football in Northwest Ohio. So other than that, I got nothing. So just want to thank all of our sponsors. We thank BSN Sports for being the title sponsor, Bat and Stevens Body Shop, Titan Sports, Fitz and Ryder, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, DeLarbert Concrete and Hauling, Crystal Fountain Park, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Remax Realty and Matt Yost, Tinora Rams Live, and the Drop Zone Pizzeria. Again, we'd like to thank and give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic Center for allowing us to use their facility for the podcast. So we thank them. Stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.